Welcome to the Glazier Nation podcast, where we uncover the best stories and the best practices of the glass and glazing industry. Whether you're a seasoned vet or just starting out your journey, this show's a great place for entertainment and a deeper understanding of our industry. I'm your host, John Spellman, and I'm truly honored to take you beyond the glass. Welcome back to the Glazier Nation podcast. This week's guest is Patrick Elmore. Patrick is the president of business development for Infinite Recycled Technologies. More simply for our industry, Patrick is into glass recycling. We discussed everything about recycling, including all the benefits, the reasons manufacturers may not be doing it, and also if the trash mafia is a real thing. As I tend to do when I get another dad on the podcast, there's quite a bit of youth sports talk on here. And we talked about this week's brackets for the Glazier Nation Podcast March Madness competition. Get to glazernationpodcast.com to vote for this week's matchups. It's Above All Storefronts versus Moffat Glass, and American Glass and Glazing versus Dixie Glass. The winner at the end of the month is going to win the TerraTrack glass cart from OmniCubed. Shout out to OmniCubed for sponsoring the event. You can check them out at www.omnicubed.com. I had a blast chatting with Patrick, and I hope you enjoy the show. The Glazier Nation podcast is sponsored by Glazier Nation. You can check out all their offerings at glazernation.com. If you're interested in sponsoring the podcast or other marketing opportunities, go to glazernation.com/marketing. And if you have questions for me or you know someone that would make a great guest for the show, you can contact us on any of our social medias at Glazier Nation Podcast. The irony of the recycling guy and doing it twice is not lost on me. So anyone listening, Patrick and I are re-recording this. The platform that I used dumpstered the file. It was not the first time they did it. So we're no longer using that platform. We're moving on. So Patrick and I will discuss things again here. Getting a little warmer where you are?
We were. Last week we had like 71 or 72. And then now we're back to, I think, 40 today. But still, it's 40 degrees higher than what it normally is, so we're good.
I think we are past our Florida winter. I think it's officially spring. Both my boys have two baseball games under their belt. The practice season concluded. They've both played twice. And we've got daylight savings on Sunday, so
that's awesome.
I think we're in the clear, man.
Yeah.
The coldest I've ever been in my entire life, though, before opening day. I think it was the night before. No, it was a Saturday before our opening day here. We did a movie in the park.
Okay.
Last year it was a blast, and this year my kids still had fun. All the kids are on the field. They're running around. We got a big screen with a movie. But the coldest I've ever been in my life, I think, was that night about 2 weeks ago. And it was only like 60, 65 degrees. It wasn't that cold.
Oh, wow.
But, dude, I could not warm up. I've lived 3 years in Utah. I've lived 2 years in Colorado. I grew up in Philadelphia. I think that was the coldest I've ever been.
We've had, not other than this year, the last two winters, we've seen wind chills of negative 80. So, I mean, it gets cold.
Yeah. I've probably beat this to death on this podcast, and no one's tuning in to listen to weather talk. This is ridiculous. But when it was negative 30 in Colorado, it was very, very cold. But I'm telling you, 65 here and wind, it's just like, I don't know, it's the humidity, it's the moisture, it's just like this wet cold. Simultaneously, I've lived here 10 years, and I think I've just gotten soft.
Yeah. That'll happen when you move to the tropical southeast. But speaking of kids, real quick, to change just off the weather subject.
Please.
Well, I'm an super ecstatic, super proud father. My daughters had a dance competition this past weekend. So we had to get up at 6 a.m. to get them dressed, get them ready, get the hair done, drive up to the Twin Cities and compete in this dance competition. Well, my 9-year-old daughter, her team won first place.
There you go.
Super, super proud at that. When they announced that they had won first place, I probably screamed louder than the 15 girls on stage in her group.
Yeah.
But I was very proud and love to uh, just boast about it.
Yeah.
I,
You got to.
yep. This week I was at the BEC conference in Nashville, and I'm pretty sure a good half of the conference saw pictures of my daughter and her dance performance. So,
Oh, you got to. You
yep.
got to. It's funny. I should post some baseball stuff on at least LinkedIn. But yeah. If I go to those things, we'll have a sales convention, I believe in April or May. Every single person will see a picture of my kids in uniform. Tell me about BEC. How was it? I was not there.
I tell you what, BEC this year knocked it out of the park. I know I've said this plenty of times before, but this was probably for me the best conference I've been to since I've been in the glass industry. Just the guest speakers they had were fantastic. I believe I took more notes this year than I ever have. Just the way the NGA puts on these events it's next to none. They really do a phenomenal job and work really hard to do such a good job.
Yeah, why are conferences better now? Is it shout out Andrew Herring and NGA? Is it those guys, or has the industry kind of evolved to value those things more from relationship building? Like why are they good now?
I honestly think it's a mix of a lot. I mean, any conference where you have Andrew Herring or Sarah or Ermel or Nicole or Mel or any of the staff NGA, you have them there and they're amazing people. They're amazing in what they do. So I think you got a good mix of such an amazing group, and then I do believe, yes, you're right. The glass industry is evolving. More people are getting involved. More people want to see new things. Codes are changing.
Yeah.
Networking side of it. It seems like even the biggest competitors in the industry come to these events and the networking and the hanging out and chatting with each other. You would not see that there is a competition at all. I mean, they're really great to be at.
Yeah, we just recorded. I think it was the last one right before we'll put this one up was Matt Shoemaker, and
Yeah, I
we
watched
were
part of
we were talking about that specifically, about how he mentioned where he is in Canada. It used to be very cutthroat, and now there's a lot more competitors getting together, not from a collusion standpoint, but from a helping each other out, or hey, maybe this is how I do this. How do you do that? And
Yeah.
maybe that's part of what the value of those conferences are, that people are, I find, getting away from, screw that guy, he's my competition.
Right.
Because that really doesn't work. Like, negative selling doesn't really work, right? Like,
Right.
I don't know, if I ever had a sales rep come in and he just started bad mouthing the competition, I mean, I kind of would tune out to that guy. Like,
Yep. I'm the same way. No matter what I'm buying, whether it's a car, a camper, a house, whatever, and I run into that situation where, any salesman, whether, that says something negative about the other one, I walk away and find someone else.
yeah,
And there's a way to do it that's tactful, and there's a way to, express if you truly feel like your product is better. There's a way to express that without trying to be negative and down on
Sure.
someone else, right? Because
Sure.
there's no need for that. So there's ways to do it, and I feel like I've learned my 30 years in sales that there's a good way to do it and there's a bad way to do it. I have done it both ways. I'm not saying that I'm perfect by any means, but I do sure try to up my competition, or I really don't feel like I have a lot of competition. Not that I'm saying that I'm better than anybody, but
Right.
my thing is in recycling, I want to work with all these other recyclers, right? I don't need to compete with them. I want to work with them. So
Well, yeah, you also, like, if the end game goal, like, we're making profit along the way, right? Like,
Right.
No one's waking up and, well, some people maybe are waking up and just recycling all day for fun, but we're gonna make a profit along the way. We got to pay for the dance lessons and the dance competitions, right? So this is
That's
fine.
right.
This is
That's right.
okay. But you're also
Yep.
doing something that many people would consider noble, and there's an end game goal of recycle as much as possible, right? Now,
Right.
your company alone couldn't do that probably. So you would want to raise up some competitors to be able to hit that end game goal.
That's right. That's right. Anytime I hear of a new glass recycler out there, I do like to reach out and get them in my arsenal of recycling. Because people call me every day and they're like, "Hey, Patrick, we want to get on board with your recycling. We see what you're doing. It's great." But they may not be in my logistics area. So the more that I know, the more I can refer out and I say, "Sorry, sir, you're out of my distance, but hey, I know this guy right here that does a great job too, and can refer them out."
Well,
Because there needs to be another 100 of us out there.
let's give a bird's eye view of your company and what you do, since we're kind of talking about recycling, and I'll try to do it in the intro, but I won't do it as well. So tell us your company and
Sure.
what you're doing.
Sure. Well, it's Infinite Recycled Technologies. We The main part of Infinite is architectural glass recycling. We don't get a lot into the bottles or the windshields, but we put our main focus on architectural. And in that focus, we more focus on laminated glass, insulated glass, mirrors, and just any kind of plate glass, tempered, coated, tinted, anything like that. And we bring it back to our facility. We've designed a machine that will delaminate the architectural glass. It'll separate, the spacers, the silicone, the inner layers, everything, and screen out the glass for certain sizes depending on what the end market wants to see.
Now you're primarily
Yeah.
dealing directly with like glass fabricators, glass manufacturers, right?
That's right. That's right. We do
But
a
there
little
is
bit
some
with
crossover. There is some crossover with like your normal curbside pickup guys, right? Like you do something with them.
we don't actually, not really with the curbside. That's
Oh,
more
I
container
thought you did a
glass.
thing with some of them that you could arrange like glass pickup with them, or like I don't know how that worked. Maybe I'm wrong.
Um, so we've had some municipalities reach out and want to do more modeling. That they're collecting curbside. So I guess we have grabbed some of that because they didn't have another outlet.
Okay.
But for the most part, I guess we do keep it to architectural.
Okay. And those folks that want to get involved with that, you're calling on them. They're looking for a recycler. It's a mutual benefit.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, with the curbside and stuff like that, they're still picking up quite a bit. And a lot of the municipalities across the U.S. are, unfortunately, some of them are getting away from curbside with the glass. They'll pick up the cardboard and plastics, but for some reason, some of them are getting away from the glass, which is unfortunate. So yeah, we are trying to step in a little bit more and try to capture some of that. Um, but yeah, for the most part, our main focus would be the fabricators, manufacturers, and stuff like that. Even with the
Yeah.
Glaziers and some of their installs.
So let's focus on those guys. The glass fabricators, the glass manufacturers. They're obviously not all using you or a similar company. Why aren't some folks doing that? Why aren't some folks getting involved with the glass recycling?
Sure. It's a few different things. One of it is just they don't know about us. They don't know some of it can be recycled. They haven't found the right person in their area. So that boils down to education and awareness. So there is a huge lack of that, which we've sure been trying to do better of. And then probably the biggest cause is logistics.
Yeah.
Freighting it from 3 states away to my facility. We sure try to do it every day, but it's our biggest cost and our biggest headache is, having trucks on the road every day. So by not having enough of us out there in a lot of these markets, some people don't have a choice but to landfill it.
Well, there's also so there's a cost equation there, right?
Right.
Where it
Yeah.
no longer makes sense to do it, but there's also like a green equation there, right? Like how far are you sending a truck? What's the carbon footprint of that versus the benefit of
Right.
recycling that glass? So it's more facilities. Is that the answer?
That's the answer. Yeah, more facilities and more awareness, more education, letting know, just explaining to them why it's so important to recycle, and to get this taken care of. But yeah, I think if there's another 100 of us out there, we still wouldn't be scratching the surface on what is actually going to the landfill every day. Which that number, yearly is about 12 million ton of architectural glass going to the landfill every year.
What is 12 million ton? Like I don't know if I can wrap my brain around that. Like what does that look like? Is that like
So I'm trying to remember here. We did a comparison, and I believe, if I remember right, with 12 million ton, you could build a highway, 3 lanes wide from north to south in California, and have it 6 inches thick, and
of
that would be
glass?
about the equivalent. How much glass?
That's a lot of glass.
That's a lot of glass.
So I was wrong remembering the curbside, but you have had possibly some run-ins with a sanitation mafia guys. Like, is that's a real thing?
From what I've ran into and what I've seen, yeah, it's a real thing. Of course, I'm sure it's never admitted, but I have ran into it myself, where we've looked at a customer in a certain area and was told, that if we really look into this account, we better make sure that we know what we're doing,
Because someone
because
had that
there
account.
might be
That
some
was their trash
consequences.
account. That's it.
That's right. That's right.
But
Yep.
no horse head in your bedroom, nothing like that.
No, I haven't yet, but do make sure I put the cameras around my house. I do live in a small town in Minnesota, so I think I'm kind of far enough away for them to want to come after me. But hey, you never know.
Probably too cold for the New York, New Jersey gang. I don't know. So
Yeah,
Infinite is it 100% glass, or are there alternative materials that you guys are recycling too?
sure. So Infinite is the main thing is glass. Yes, we do dabble in a lot of different plastics.
Okay.
The market for plastics is really good. By not being able to send as much overseas, we're looking, everyone's looking for more U.S. Plastic recycling. So we have stepped in quite there and taken quite a few different plastics to be able to do that. We also do, some cardboards. And then our parent company, Watson Recycling, their main focus is ferrous and non-ferrous metals. So
Okay.
we expand quite a bit out there to be able to help people out. So when we go into a glass fabricator, we can help them out with their stainless steel and their aluminum or their mixed metals and stuff like that. Their plastics and shrink wraps and interlayer scraps, and then also their glass as well. So that's been a big help for a lot of these fabricators or manufacturers, in general, because they're not having 5 different people to call for, one thing. They're calling us to do
Sure.
multiple things for them.
Yeah. One-stop shop. It's always great. I see more in the glazing industry, more guys doing um, what I'll call like the entire exterior facade, the entire envelope. So instead of just the windows or storefront, they're doing the cladding, and it's all this unitized wall that you can basically just hang. And what
Yeah.
the benefit for the GC is they're getting, 5, 6 trades under one contract. So one point of contact, usually preferred, right? Like, why would you want to
Yep.
call 6 people? Um,
Yeah, and make sure you call one for the right thing. No, that's going to be great for them to be able to narrow that down. Plus, you have less people in and out of the job sites, and job sites are they need to be secure, and then generally they do a great job and keeping an eye on who's in and out of these job sites. And if you can narrow that down on the amount of people and companies coming in and out, that should sure help out on safety.
So same for your glass fabricator. Maybe they also do some metal extrusions, or maybe it's a window manufacturer, right? And they've got glass, vinyl, cardboard, metal. Instead of having to put those in four places, they could use a company like yourself and
That's right. Yeah,
one-stop
it
shop.
helps out. Yep.
What's something that like we're not recycling in our industry that maybe we should be, or that like we're missing one piece of technology to be able to do it efficiently? Is there something hanging out there?
Ooh, boy. You know, we get calls all the time for different things. I would say a good one that's not getting done enough of is your inner layers. There's been shortages out there of inner layers, whether it's going to be your PVB or your SGP or your EVA. There's been some shortages and trying to get those produced enough to get out to these companies. But really, if we have enough companies that are helping recycle that, the fabricators, when they're laminating glass, if they can, grab more of their trimmings and stuff like that and get that recycled, that would sure help out. Some of it are, from what I've heard in the industry, is the fiberglass A-frames. Boy, the chemistry of those are a little tougher to do. There's not, we could take them back and we can shred them and bring them back down. But with everything in there, we have not been able to find the right way to get that into the next product. So that's been a little tough too.
All right, ignorant question, talking about breaking it down. On glass, you're taking glass and you're just making it sand, right?
For the most part, yeah. Yep. All the different types of glass.
What do you do with it from there? Where does it go from there?
So we have quite a few really good markets that we've gained over the years. Your fiberglass insulation is a great market for it. You have highway striping. The reflective in the highway striping is little glass beads. So that's done by some friends of ours that do a great job on it. Media blasting is pretty good because you can replace sand from doing it. With the glass, you can actually sweep it up and run it through a quick sieve and reuse it multiple times. So it's great market there. My absolute most favorite is sending it back to new glass. You're creating that full circle so that piece can be broken and put back into new glass over and over and over for an infinite amount of times. So that's the ultimate dream.
I know there's some like specification requirements for recycled material. Is that something you guys, I'm not going to say lobby for, but promote? And you should, like, we should use recycled material if we can. But is that something you guys do? Any type of architectural promotion or anything with that? Anything with the recycled material? Trying to make that a requirement.
Right. Yeah. A few different things. We do work with a couple of fabricators out there who, as they're selling new glass on a retrofit, they're asking for all that old glass back. So they're doing a take back program to be able to capture that back and send that to us. So that's been great. We've been able to promote some of that. We've been trying to reach out to more installers and let them know too, as they're doing the retrofit, that, hey, we'll supply you what you need to capture that glass and bring it back. What was it? Sorry, what was the other part of the question?
No, just like if there's education or promotion. I mean, do you do like AIA presentations to architects, or do you guys do any like actual lobbying with government officials of, we should raise our requirements of recycled material, that kind of stuff?
Yep. So the last 3 years, I think the last 3 years, we've accompanied the NGA to Capitol Hill to exactly for that, lobbying for, let's make this mandatory, that even, at the very least, a government building that they're doing retrofits in or doing a demo or anything like that glass is captured and recycled. Sure. So yeah, we do some of that. We've done some e-blasts. We try to put out on, LinkedIn quite a bit, the importance of recycling, why you should do it, creating awareness that it can be done.
Sure.
I've out many times that if they can't find anybody, just to reach out to me, whether it's me or someone I know, we'll try to help them find somewhere to do it. But it's never enough. You can always do more.
Yeah, and I'm again, it probably ends up going back to that cost equation. If there's someone within X radius, yeah, probably makes sense, and they can probably meet those requirements. But I don't know who. Like, I'm sure there's holes, right? North Dakota or South Utah. I'm sure there's holes throughout the country, right? Like where you just would not be able to do it cost efficiently.
That's right. And we're trying to expand as quick as possible with our locations, around the U.S. and to try to fill those holes. But again, it's just not enough. There's a little bit of gap in there around the Ohio, Chicago area. Okay. There is people in those areas doing it. But then again, there's so much glass that even, you just can't keep up. So there needs to be
I just threw out North Dakota and South Utah. There's probably some guy in South Utah just furious right now.
Actually, we do handle a lot of North Dakota ourselves from here.
Okay.
It is a haul to send our trucks, and yeah. It's on that edge of almost being too far away. But again, we do try everything we can to capture.
Our states are huge.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like we've been working. You step back and look at it. I saw some funny video about Europeans making fun of Americans for not being well traveled, and the guy was going on a rant about how, like, from London to Paris to Amsterdam, it's like 45 minutes each way. And it's like 45 minutes doesn't even get you from like one state to another state. Like,
yeah, I can barely get up to the cities for that.
When my wife and I remember very specifically when my wife and I moved from Colorado to Florida, because I timed it, and we were driving like 85 miles an hour to get from west to east end of Kansas was like a solid 9 hours.
Yeah.
Of nothing too, of like absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Corn.
A lot of corn.
Yep.
It's funny. We actually ran out of gas. I've ran out of gas, I think, twice in my life. And that was one of them. So yeah. Okay. Anyone like that wants to argue, yeah, that affected my 9 hour time, but that's beside the point. But it was record heat in Kansas. It was 105 degrees.
Ooh.
And saw the gas was low, saw a sign where it said there was supposed to be a gas station, pulled off, gas station's boarded up.
Oh, no.
So get back on, and then like I think it was like, stopping and starting and that kind of stuff, run out of gas. We've got the way we had a Jeep Cherokee, and we had the trunk set up with my dog's crate. But there were 2 cats in there, and then in the back seat was my dog. So 105 degrees, all these animals. Luckily, shout out AAA. If you don't have AAA, it's really worth it. If you
I bet
plan on running out of gas, the dude was there in like 20 minutes, so really wasn't that big of a deal.
That is awesome.
Sorry, rambling and a story that no one cares about. Hey, I do want to ask you, as a boy father, as a father of 2 boys, the waking up at 6 a.m. and going to the dance thing, like is it just over the top?
Yeah, it's a little tough to say. I mean, I so enjoy it. I was always hoping for some boys, of course, and I had my girls, and watching them grow. I mean, they're still very young, but I wouldn't trade it for the world.
So I'm asking that from a standpoint of like the sporting events that we go to. There's always parents that are like way too involved.
Oh yeah.
Like I've got a parent on my older boys' baseball team that's like, I'm gonna have to tell him to pump the brakes. He's like on the umpire. He's like on our kids. He's coming to me and he's asking me like if I want to argue, like, that call should be that, like, he's too involved.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that there's dance moms that are like
100%.
Yeah.
And my wife and I, and they're not judging, of course, but we truly do love to.
They're not listening. You can judge.
We do love to sit back and watch some of the dance moms, and
Sure.
how much they get into it, and they're just as decked out with caked on makeup,
Sure.
like the dancers are, and um, it's as if they're trying to live their own life through their children. Maybe they were not a
Sure.
good dancer, now they're trying to live it through their. Um, but
And
yeah,
and, and
there is quite a bit of that in dance for sure.
in their defense, I wasn't a great baseball player, and here I am, right? Like, I was definitely jumping up and down in the dugout the other night when my boys were playing, but I've learned that, like, there's a line that you cannot cross, and if you cross
Right.
that line, you're a walking meme at that point.
Yep. Yep. No,
So
I mean,
is it intense? Is it like they're making these dance teams and it's like a big deal, and like you guys are traveling to do this, and
yeah, we do travel. Not a ton of travel yet,
uh,
because they are in still a younger age. I think it's only like 4 or 5 competitions a year, so it's not a
uh,
lot of traveling. We'll get more and more as the girls get older and
yeah,
the competitions get a little stiffer.
yeah,
Um, but there's a proven thing with the Dance Mom. They've even done TV shows
yeah.
on the Dance Moms, and yeah, you do run into that quite a bit too. So it's pretty fun. It's fun to sit back and watch.
I'm surprised there's not been more. I mean, they could have football parents, baseball parents. I'm surprised there hasn't been more shows.
Yeah,
I know there's enough
and
social media content.
right? Like from everything I hear from all my friends and stuff who kids are in hockey, that the hockey parents, like, they're the rowdy group. I mean, they're the
Yeah,
ones that are in the hotels late at night, socializing rather loudly, and
yeah,
the ones banging on the glass, the ref, and stuff like that. So I hear that's the more intense one, but
yeah. Getting after the umpire was a problem for us this week. And the umpire, I mean, it's it's challenging because we're doing 10U baseball, and the kids are struggling to throw strikes. So, like, if it's close, he's gonna call it. But, like, I do the we have a camera, like a GoPro, that records the game.
oh,
For
sure.
whatever reason, we have this. I don't know why, but of course I'm extra, and afterwards went back and found where my kid got rung up on a third strike that I knew was not close. And I got a screenshot of it, and it's in the other batter's box. It's at his head. But no, I didn't argue with the umpire, but I could see that. So
I
who
take
does
video.
you take video? Yeah, of course you take video. I
Yeah,
would be
I
surprised if
take
you didn't
video of
take video.
everyone, and I watch it back, and I'm maybe a little critical with my kids. I played sports and everything like that, and I remember my dad being hard on me, and I wouldn't take that back for the world. And so, I'll watch it over and over and over, and be like, all right, you did this wrong. Let's try to be on beat a little bit more.
Well, how
You went into this move a little too fast.
is that judged? Is that how the dance competition works? It's judged by like a panel.
Yeah, yep,
Uh,
yep. They have I think it's 4 or 5 judges up in the stands,
yeah.
and they watch, and they're watching at this age group. They're watching as a whole, right? So they're
Uh,
watching the whole team and seeing how much is in sync, how much is out of sync, and then kind of the routine, and
how
stuff
does
that like
how do the parents handle, like, they're all complaining about the judges, right?
yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, last year, I complained a little bit. I was a little
Sure.
more vocal last year, on our team that didn't, they just I watched them and again recorded them, and watched every team, and I was, judging the teams and myself, and like in my head, like, okay, well, they did great, that's the team that should win, and all of a sudden that team got last place. I'm like, who's judging this? Like,
Yeah.
should I borrow them my glasses? I mean, can they not see? Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
But
it
is
gets
there?
pretty
I've never been to one of these dance events. Is there interaction the same way that I have a dad chirping at the umpire? Are moms chirping at these judges?
Yeah, actually there is. Yep. This year before the first competition, our dance instructors and stuff for my daughter's teams, I had all the parents, inside and made sure they told us that, keep comments to yourself,
Yeah.
don't talk about other dancers, you never know who's around. So don't sit there and say that, well, that kid didn't do very well or my kid
Yeah.
did so much better. And so it got to probably was a little bit much last year. So this year they're actually making all parents aware that, keep it a little bit to yourself. Wait till you get out in your car and then, tell your spouse or whatever how terrible the other team was, or, who didn't do good on your team and stuff like that. So, but yeah, some of them get pretty vocal.
Yeah, we have something that is passed out to the parents that they have to sign. It's like a code of conduct. I kind of
Sure.
argue that it's like a little too long, and I don't know if they read it. Most of the parents in our community are good, but yeah, we had actually last fall we had issues, and there's a coach that's no longer allowed to coach in our area. So, but it was not just him; it was some parents. It was just people get too involved, man.
Yeah. Yep.
Involved the wrong way. Like I'm too involved, but I feel like I'm involved mostly in positive ways, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, my daughters before, they've been in dance since they were 2.5. As soon as we could earliest get them into dance, we do let them choose whether or not they want to do it. So it's not like I'm one of those parents who are forcing my kids in dance.
Sure.
My daughters are in dance, so they're in gymnastics, they're in piano, and they're in figure skating. But it's only by choice. If they don't ever want to do a sport or anything, we don't let them. So they're in that much because they want to. But I have coached them in t-ball and soccer over the years, and I love it. I definitely
We've tried other sports with the boys. They kind of keep coming back to baseball, and at this point they've kind of started on the path of that, where we're probably going to be traveling. Not this spring, but probably pretty soon. So,
sure. Yep.
There's a nice program,
and everything you're gone.
Well, there's a nice program where we are that your typical travel baseball team is like every weekend playing 3 games on Saturday, 3 games on Sunday, if not more.
Right.
And in my opinion, and people will argue with me, there's some kids that's probably correct for. But I think a lot of kids, that's too much, and it's going to burn them out.
Yeah.
But we have a nice program here where it's essentially a travel team, but they only do 1 tournament a month. So
that's pretty good.
Maybe looked forward to a little bit more by the kids, right? And instead of every single weekend. So I think that's probably what we'll try.
Well, cool. Yeah, I watched my nephews grow up since they were just tiny little t-ballers on up into high school. And both my nephews, by the time they were in high school, they'd played so much ball and they'd traveled and so much that they were a little more burnt out in high school, and it was just to kind of let it slide. In fact, my youngest nephew never played his senior year, and phenomenal. They were phenomenal at baseball. It was great to watch, to go to their games. We used to go quite a bit, but yeah, again, it just got burnt out. It was too much.
I have said, to my wife, I probably said on this podcast, but my boys will have to ask to do that, right? And I think that's I've not done the travel thing. I've got some friends that do it with their boys. It's probably correct for a lot of boys, but my boys would have to ask for it. I would never be you're on this team.
That's right.
We're practicing 3 nights a week, and we're doing tournaments every weekend. They would have to come to me. It would have to be their jam.
Yep. No, I agree, and I think that's awesome. I've known plenty of people who force their kids into sports nonstop and wouldn't let them quit and wouldn't let them step out. We do tell our girls, though, when they join a sport, they're in it for the season. You're not just drop out halfway through the season because you don't want to do it anymore. If you don't want to do it that following year, that's fine. But I instill in them that they got to give it their all while they're in it. And each year, we ask them, we're like, okay, it's sign up time again. You want to sign up again for gymnastics? Do you want to move on, or do you want to just try something else? And leave it up to them.
We try to go by that rule too. I feel like that's the Gen X millennial rule. You can't quit, right?
Yeah.
we definitely twisted out of that one for one soccer league. Like we tried. My younger son was just put on a team that was not. Listen, every kid is learning at a different level. Every kid is learning at a different rate, but he was put on the team of like the kids that are just like running in circles and like biting their hands. And those kids could turn out to be upstanding citizens, great athletes, great contributors to our society. But at this time in their life, it was not the team for him, and he just hated it. And we tried to get him moved to a different team. We tried to bring him and like tried to make it entertaining for him, but like it wasn't working. So we did quit once.
Yeah. That was my youngest daughter in soccer too. All she wanted to do was sit in the net and pick daisies. So
We did the whole T-ball thing. There's always kids. Listen, all kids are learning and progressing at different rates.
yeah, that's exactly right.
That soccer team just did not work out for us. Hey, I should have put this closer to the top of the show. I got to get better with show notes, but one exciting thing we get to do with re-recording that we were not doing before is we get to discuss a couple brackets for our Glazier Nation March Madness. This is a competition for best glass shop name.
Yeah, I've seen some of the names come across LinkedIn. Yeah, that looks good.
This week, you get to discuss these two matchups with me. Above All Storefronts versus Moffat Glass. Anything stand out to you there? Pretty standard names, to be honest.
They're both very good names. If I was to pick, my pick would be, boy, I now follow, Above All too. They do great work, but I think the Moffat sounds like a little more of a fun name.
Okay.
Nothing against Above All. You guys are great.
Yeah, I don't know them. I'm gonna have to disagree with you here, though. I'm gonna have to go Above All. They're just more interactive with our posts, and their lead glazer, Bob Lentz, was our 2023 Glazer of the Year. So
that's fantastic. Yeah.
I'll go with Above All Storefronts there. We'll see how the votes come out. Then the next bracket here, I know who my 6-year-old voted for, but we've got American Glass and Glazing versus Dixie Glass. You want me to go first, or you went first on the last one?
Okay, yeah, go right ahead.
All right, I'm going Dixie Glass, and I'm going Dixie Glass primarily because they've got really phenomenal TikTok content, like really high quality video. It's really good stuff.
Yes, that was also my pick, and a lot of that same reasons. I do follow them on TikTok, and I do like their videos. Content wise, man, they do a great, and they do a very consistent posting. I wish I could do a little bit more like they do. So yeah, I'm going Dixie Glass too.
My 6-year-old wanted American Glass and Glazing. Both my boys are very into red, white, and blue stuff. Our baseball uniforms are red, white, and blue. I always ask them if they're Americans or Americants whenever they say can't. So he wanted American Glass and Glazing. We'll see. Again, we'll let the votes determine here, but Dixie Glass I know is sharing on their social media, so they might run away with that one.
Yep.
That is an interesting thing, right? Like the high quality social media stuff, it's a weird thing for the glass and glazing industry, and we've discussed it on this podcast probably ad nauseum, is like, what's the value of that? Like the old guys, like, what are they doing? TikTok dances? No, they're not. They're using it to, like, I mean, in my opinion, the biggest benefit a lot of these glass shops are getting is they're getting young people interested in their company.
Yes.
And it may not be for purchasing. They may not be buying glass or installation services, but they might be coming to work there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I mainly use the TikTok for their platform. So for like putting photos together and videos together, I'm not the most tech savvy person in the world. So I do like their Their platform is very user friendly.
Yeah.
And it saves right to my phone to use those posts for LinkedIn.
Yep. Yeah. No. I think glass shops, manufacturers that are not participating at some level are just cheating themselves and quite possibly spending a lot of money in the wrong area where they're not getting eyes, right?
Right.
Speaking of medias or platforms, when does your podcast start?
I'm hoping soon. So I've recorded a few takes, and
Okay.
um, they're looking pretty good. I'm a little excited for them. So hopefully I have one out in April.
Okay.
That's my goal. I've just been recording them simple, just on a laptop. They've come up pretty decent. So I went ahead and ordered some fun little equipment to make it just a little bit better. So I'm hoping April will be the first one coming out.
Is
Be
this
called the
solo
Reclaim
mission, or you have your
Podcast.
guest?
Oh yes. So the first one I'm planning on pretty much just doing solo, just kind of explaining a little bit about what the Reclaim Podcast is, and what we're looking for. And then, yeah, for sure, I want to have plenty of guests on.
And another white guy with a podcast.
Yeah, right. I think that's
That's-
that's the thing.
No, I make fun of myself all the time for that. But I will say, like, I think it's a great idea. I wish the best for you. I think
Thank you.
anyone that is in anything that requires talking to human beings. So sales, marketing, business development, HR, like anything that requires you to talk to human beings. I'm not saying you need to start a podcast series, but like record a couple conversations. And the easiest way to do that is a podcast.
Yeah.
Record a couple conversations. I guarantee you that you will find something that will make you better at speaking to people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I fully agree to that. I've done some.
Bare minimum from me doing this podcast, at the bare minimum, right? At the bare minimum, I've found things that I believe make me better at talking to human beings.
Yeah, you're probably
So
exactly right. Yep. And I've heard doing it into a mirror really helps out a lot too. But yeah,
I don't know if
I could
I
see
don't know if I could
recording
do
it
that.
would be better.
Actually, I think it's pretty. Actually, I'm a little. I admire that you could record one by yourself. So like that's my biggest challenge is when I do the intro to the show and I'm just talking.
Yeah.
It's just awkward. I've gotten better at it, and I did some content for Glazier Nation where I don't know if you saw any of that, but it would be like a news article that I found, and it would be like, hey, look at this glass bridge, and it was just me talking.
Yeah.
Those were super awkward too, but like you get better at it and you get used to it, and bare minimum, you slightly become better at speaking English out of your mouth.
Right. No, I've watched a lot of your stuff. I get the notifications on YouTube anytime you get anything uploaded. So I do watch them, and man, I tell you what, you're the reason I want to get out and do this. I've watched so many of yours, and I do think you do a phenomenal job. So
Well, I
sure
appreciate
I've
that.
emailed you a couple times looking for some tips, and
Yeah,
when it
yeah. If
anytime
you
get more
yeah,
tips my way.
if you do guests, we can come on and talk about all the same stuff. We could talk about dance and Little League baseball some more.
That's right. We could give we could give like a quarterly update on our dance kids and t-ball or baseball kids, and that right there is a whole podcast in itself.
I've 100% thought about doing a youth podcast, a youth sports podcast. I usually try to jam enough into this one.
Yeah.
But there's probably at least a handful of people that just turn this off as soon as I start going down that route.
No, I don't think so.
Well, I was thinking
Turn it up.
maybe. It's funny you mentioned that the volume, right? So like I do my best editing it that the volume is correct. but I always once it's uploaded, I always like to get in my car and see what it sounds like. So I put it on in the car. Well, I put it on in the car with the whole family the other day, and I was like, hey, I just need 15 seconds to hear the volume. 3 seconds in, turn it off. It's boring.
Oh, was that the wife or the kids?
All three. Yeah. All three.
All right.
Yeah. All three.
Yep.
Patrick, man, we're going to have the Reclaim podcast.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. We're going to have the Reclaim podcast, Infinity Recycling. Anything else you want to plug here? Infinite. Sorry.
Yeah. Infinite. No, I mean, the biggest thing is, I hope many people watch this, and, I want them to know that there's huge benefits to recycling. We only have X amount of virgin materials. When you're out, you're out. Sand doesn't just grow on a tree, so you want to save that. And the main thing is, recycling this glass and using this in your product and everything like that is going to add to your bottom line. If you don't want to do it because you don't want to be green, or you don't care if it goes to a landfill or gets recycled, do it to add to your bottom line, because that is the biggest reason for you to do it, as long as you need a reason. But yeah, creating awareness, letting more people know. I tell everybody, reach out to me if you can't find a recycler in your area, or you just don't want to look. Give me a call, or any of my staff. We'll definitely put the legwork into you. If we can help you out, we will. If we can find someone that can do it, we'll do that too. So, that's just the main takeaways is recycle your glass.
Yeah, no, I think the bottom line thing, that might sound like callous, right? But you can do both. They're not mutually exclusive. You can do good for the earth, and you can also make more money. You don't have to choose one.
Right.
So
no, I agree. I have ran into certain glass companies that I've went in and asked them, what are they doing? Would they like to recycle? And I've been straight up told, we don't care if we recycle or not. What's the benefit?
Sure.
And I told them, they didn't care. If it cost them money either way, they didn't care which one it was. If there was a money benefit involved to it, then sure, they would do it. Otherwise, so I've been told that before, and it's, those are the people that, why ever they do it, whatever the reason may be, at least they're doing it.
Yeah. And I would love that everybody just also wanted to be green and good, but that's not the reality of human beings. Right. So if we can motivate them to do the good financially, why not? Right.
Right. Yep. Whatever the reason may be, as long as it's a reason to get them to do it. If they want to do it because they want to do what's best for the environment, our children and grandchildren, awesome. That's not a better reason. But if you don't care about any of that, and you just care about your bottom line, then do it because you're going to add to your bottom line, and that's important too.
Thanks again for recording twice, only fitting for the recycling episode. Greatly appreciate you, man. You have a good night, all right?
Yeah, you too, buddy. It's good to be on.